on time. Is that it? It's all a go. Welcome to Soul Circle. Rebitz and Miriam Greenberg. I had it on some good advice that I should teach to the world and go back to what I love to do. So here I am in the Holy Land of Eretz HaKodesh, in the beautiful mountaintop of Sfat, where the Holy Ari taught. And all the spirits here are collected, awaiting a very important time in history, which we call the end of days. All the religions have their names for whatever this revelation will be in this time. But the most exciting holiday of all is coming up, and that's Shavuot, because it's commemorating, and actually we're still in it, what I'm going to teach about tonight, the receiving of the Torah on Mount Sinai, which is like receiving revelation and receiving light. So what I put up on the internet was how we're really receiving all the time. We're really receiving God all the time. And actually what's more true than that, because sometimes we don't have ourselves on the right channel, is that God is broadcasting all the time. And we don't hear the message because we're not on the right channel. We're busy surfing the net. We're busy cooking or cleaning or helping or doing for our children. We're busy people. We have work. But actually, when we tune in, which people meditate, if we tune in to the God channel, and the God channel is our soul. So if you take 1 minute, even to come on and join me tonight, if all you did was close your eyes and take a deep breath and let yourself tune in to the listening of that part of you, which is the soul. That's what I meant by God's always broadcasting. We need to listen to what our soul is telling us. So I think the channel was built into us, and we don't always tune in. We have lots of distractions why we don't. Tonight, some people said they were going to tune in. They might not be tuned in because they're on a different channel, like the shopping channel. They might be out shopping at Trader Joe's or Whole Foods. They could be out, working. But I decided to put up a broadcast with a little bit of Torah in it because a good friend of mine, Elaine, who I sent this link to your daughter, Elaine. She told me, she's a pretty tuned in person, and she told me, get out there and be the teacher that you are. You love to do it. Why do we stay up all night? We stay up all night on this holiday tuning into Torah. And why do we think it's not a historical event? Why do we think it's an event constantly going on? Is because really at the time of the event, our inner light was expanded. It said we saw the sounds and we heard the sights. That doesn't make sense. We hear sounds, we see sights. How does this make sense? So what part of us was sensing? And what part of us now is available to sense the true messages and the guidance we get to run our everyday lives? I know you're out there doing whatever you're doing, but maybe you'll tune into this after as a video broadcast, and you'll see, what did I miss? What's great about technology is you can tune in later and still catch up. And what's great about the Torah was it was a blueprint, but it's actually an organic item. It's interactive, the Torah. You're looking in, you're learning, and it's actually communicating back with you, revealing things to you. The main way that we usually perceive in life is with our senses, and I always say this, say it to my son Avi, say it to my kids. I'm like, well, most people, seeing is believing. But what if that isn't true? What if what's true is believing is seeing? The word believe, like belev, from my heart, what if we really did follow our heart guidance and our soul guidance, like GPS? I don't even know. Do you know what GPS stands for? It's a guidance system, I suppose. But we could give it a new name. We'll be spontaneous. Could be, the guidance of providence of our soul. GPS, the guidance of the providence of our soul. What if what led us was our soul purpose? What if, we listened with our heart? And I had some really cool, like rainbow gathering guests this week for Shabbat. And this person said, they really weren't ready to go into the chuppah commitment mode because they wanted the freedom to choose from a very large variety. And they didn't want to give that up. They didn't want to say, oh, I have to ask permission when I go out, or I have to consult somebody else. I want to follow my heart. I want to just go where the feeling takes me. And actually, that's all great. It's usually that's great till you're 20, till you're 30. But when you get older and you want to settle down, you actually want to have those experiences with someone else. So I was encouraging this person to look at what was stopping them from going into commitment. But I could relate. Where along the way do we stop listening to that part of us that wants to lead from what's spontaneous, what's enlightening, what's calling us, our true calling? We don't usually do that. We usually have appointments, we have plans, we have priorities, we make lists. But this guy, I have to just tell you this story. This guy drove me in a taxi. I love taxi drivers. This guy wouldn't get out of the car to help me with my groceries to be a little quicker. And I was just like, what's with this guy? I got to get in. I got to see what's going on with him. So he started talking to me about basketball. Do I like basketball? This is very funny. No, I'm not really a sports person, but I just want to relate to the guy enough to try to get in and talk to his soul a little bit. And because I talked to him about the Celtics, or I talked to him, about his Chicago Bulls, or whatever was going on with him, I actually said to him, why didn't you get out of the car, be a mensch, help me with my groceries? And he's like, "Ein li koach." I said, what? Okay, but I said I wanted the class to be about messages. So a lot of people ask me to intuitively give over to them something I'm seeing about them. Where am I getting that information? How would I know things? How do I access that part of myself? So there's many things going on with us. Insight, we call it Bina, intuition. There's many things going on with us. And, Oprah talks about, well, you got like a message in your head. Did you listen to the message? Well, it was just a whisper, and then I didn't listen, and then it got to be a loud scream, and I didn't listen. Well, why didn't you follow that intuition? Even when bad things happen, Why weren't you really trusting the inner message of your soul? What happened on Sinai was something unprecedented in history. It wasn't just a prophet was communicated with, that Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, was the only one. It was the first time in history, and I think since till this day, that an entire people, an entire race was communicated with by God directly. The people did not want an intermediary at first. They said, no, we want the direct connect. Then the direct connect came at them with all the light of the revelation of God, and it so filled them with light that their souls left their bodies. They kind of, died for a moment and came back in, and then died for a moment and came back in. And they kept having that experience, which was very scary. And then they finally said, okay, Moses, you take it away. We'll let you be the intermediary. You're obviously built for this. We're not built for this. But in that time that they did have that direct reveal, they were filled with light. So in the beginning of creation, there were the hidden utterances. And at the time of Matan Torah on Sinai, on Mount Sinai, there were the 10 Commandments. And the commandments themselves, like we say, we have 613 commandments, but then we add the 7 Noahide laws for the people of the non-Jewish religions of the world, and that comes to 620. And that whole gematria has to do with the luchot, the tablets, the dimensions of the tablets. The first tablet has the 5 commandments that have to do with our relationship to God. The second 5 have to do with our relationship to each other in the nation, how we treat each other. But they are definitely connected. Now, for a lot of people, I don't want to go political. There's a lot going on in the world about wiping out Judeo-Christianity and moving into, being overtaken by another whole religion in the world. People are being persecuted. It used to be, mostly us. Now, even in America, and even in the Middle East, it's a lot of Christians, and the whole Judeo-Christian faith is based on these commandments that were given at Sinai. This is like a major thing about morality. You can't just do whatever you want to do. You can't be pagans. Now, the thing is, there's a lot of New Age people who would just say, wow, let's just get into the oneness and the love and the chesed, the kindness. But actually, is it kind to always give in to your child? It really isn't. Give them always what they want. It isn't. Because if you keep giving them candy, they'll lose their teeth. So you have to have the gevurah and the discipline and come to the middle, which is not Avraham and the kindness, and not Yitzchak and the gevurah, the discipline. It's the middle, it's Tiferes, it's Yaakov. And it's the balance and the harmony. So a lot of us are out of whack. We're not in the balance. We're not listening to ourselves. A lot of people who are even Jews, aren't observant Jews, people who are religious, aren't really, they're more spiritual. They don't really want, and this was the whole thing that delineated someone who believed in one God and someone who didn't, was, don't tell me what to do. Now, if I had my husband, Rabbi Greenberg, in the discussion, he's in the other room, he'd say to me, yeah, husbands don't like it when wives tell them what to do. Kids don't like it when mom tells them what to do. Even employees, you may work for someone, but you'd rather work for yourself. You don't want someone telling you what to do. You Rather come to it yourself. You don't want someone to keep demanding on you. But actually, if you didn't have that set of rules, where would the morality really be? We see what's going on now, which is literally right next door to me, and they're going over there bombing and etc. to stop the crazy. Where would we be? Where would we be without the rules? Now, why did we receive the Torah on Sinai? Wasn't it enough that a prophet received it? Why do we all have to receive it? Why today do we still learn and study? So there's a story about some non-Jewish guys. They went with their Jewish friend. They attended a yeshiva. They were a little shocked what was going on. They said, well, what's all the arguing going on? What's going on? So the Jewish guy that went with them said, what do you mean they're discussing these fundamental, parts of the Torah, and they're debating it. They're really questioning and they're debating. They said, really? After 5,000 something years, they haven't figured it out already? Yeah, that's the point. That it's a blueprint, and God put himself in the blueprint for creation. But he gave us the free choice to debate what's really going on and what's going on today and how does it apply to my life today. It says the first word of the 10 commandments was Anochi. So what's interesting, it stands for, in Hebrew, I made it and I put myself in it. All as an acronym from Anochi, the first word. So God is speaking to us, but are we listening? When you engage in a little bit of learning and you're listening, you get unbelievable clarity. You might get a revelation about something in your life that you were just very confused about. Also, it's a living Torah. It's not something we study from history. It's something that's happening right now. Always around the world, someone's learning. They said there's, 36 Amid Vav? There's 36 hidden tzaddikim. And there are always people around the world learning at all the different time junctures. I'm up at 2 something, so I could be with you at 7 something. That people are learning at all times around the world. And even if you're not someone who's observant of Torah, even if you're just a spiritual person, you have felt in your life times when something was guiding you to either make a certain decision or go in a certain direction or change course and go in a different direction. It's like we reach, crossroads in our life or transitional times, and we know the right thing. We don't always do the right thing, but we know it. We feel it. And then whether we made that choice, based on a moral decision and based on what was really right in our life, we have to deal with the consequences of those actions and also providence. What's moving us? So when we commit, it says providence moves too. So a lot of times we have stories where you can't imagine, how is this connected to something else? So recently I decided I'm going to show Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai over at his grave at the holy site. I'm going to show him I love him. I know I, read his book, the Zohar and the Tikkun Zohar, but I'm going to go over there. I'm going to show him that I'm going to go where half a million people are going. And I'm going to say, I give him the honor of his special day of his yard to honor him and say, blessings and prayers and go. So I walked all the way up to the bus, And my husband was following on a different path, and my son was with him, and he had a fit. They went back to the house, and here I am. I'm up at the bus station waiting. My daughter doesn't have my bus fare, and I'm embarrassed. I don't want to ask some stranger. I'm waiting for my husband. He calls up. He says, I'm not coming. I'm back to the house. What? To walk all the way back down the mountain to get the bus fare, and then walk all the way back up the mountain. What, are you crazy? I was upset. I didn't understand. Why is this happening? I know it must be because I'm really meant to show how much I love Rabbi Shimon. I'm going to go down the mountain, get the 20 shekel, go back. Just like go be on the women's side, whatever. It says check your connectivity. And he kind of pushes me to the side where the women are going. And I'm walking up the mountain because, you have to be dropped off and walk up and schlep. This is the third time I'm walking up the mountain in the day. And I'm not even there 5 seconds. And I see one of my husband's oldest, dearest friends. And I call out his name, and I'm like, I don't believe I'm seeing you. Out of 500,000 people, and you're coming from Jerusalem, how is it I'm seeing you in this moment? I'm going to tell you how I saw him in that moment. I saw him in that moment because I didn't have the bus fare. And I had to go down the mountain and back up the mountain with the bus fare, however many minutes that was, land at the time I landed, in order to cross paths with that holy person. How many times have you said, oh my God, I'm running late, I'm running late, I'm running late, only to have it be that you missed a terrible accident on the road? All those experiences that were driving you and those moments, those aren't without God. Those are God-directed moments. But you didn't know they were. You're just frustrated because you thought you had to be somewhere at a certain time. I certainly didn't think I had to go up and down that mountain in 80-degree weather twice. But I did. But it wasn't just that guy I saw. I also was looking for another friend who sells holy books. And I asked, where's this friend? He wasn't even working that day on the mountain. And sure enough, I went up the mountain. He was coming down with his family. I said, that's amazing. And I got sandwiched and smushed in. I came out. I actually saw someone else. I said, what's going on? I was meant to be there at that exact moment. Now, how do we tune in to the channel? So there are times when we're able to have certain experiences. According to the Jewish calendar, during the holiday times, you're able to be in certain dimensions because of the time dimension of that holiday. Well, we stay up. We want to have that full experience of the light. And let's think about all our senses and experiencing God through all our senses. All the way leading from Passover till Shavuot, we're going on these madrigot, on these levels called Sfirot. There are 7 chakras of existence, and inside the 7, there are 7 more. So it comes out to 7 times 7, which is 49. 49 days of the Omer. And each of these days, we're working on parts of ourselves to look at what really creates us, where our soul can reach different levels. Here it is, it's culminating in this special time. Everybody wants to come to Israel. They all want to come. They come with their family, and they're like, wow, And I'm going to get emotional when I talk about everybody wants to come here. But a lot of people, don't make it. How don't they make it through those gateways? What's going on? Think about what it was like to have not just your whole family at this very important holy place, but your entire family of the nation of Israel surrounding you. It said even the pregnant women, the babies inside the womb, had that light experience. It's like the best light show ever going on. And everybody felt it all at the same time. And you were all having that organic experience of the light all at the same time. But you see, in this world, what we usually deal with day in and day out, I don't know if this is your family experience, but I'll come in and all my family are having their own experiences on their little phones and devices and iPads and computers, and we're all having an experience. We're having it separately. When are we really unified? Maybe on the Sabbath, if you're into that, maybe you go for a family outing. Maybe there's different holidays. But we're missing the experience of the unity. We're missing the experience of the love and the light in our daily experience because we're busy being separate on our devices, doing our own individual thing. But what's really cool about technology, what God wants to reveal in technology, is that we all could be one. We could all come together in a moment on, that's my son who helped me put this together. Thanks, Avi. So we could all be in one place, even if it is inside virtual reality, the hologram paradigm, in the oneness. Now, you can get signs from almost anywhere. I have my friend Elaine that I told you about. She looks up into the sky a lot and she sees things in the clouds. I know people, my mother had an incredible experience at the holy, Wailing Wall. She was talking to God. She's like, show me a sign that you're hearing me when I pray. And she looked down, and between her 2 feet was like a piece of a flyer, and it said the word Seidel. She's like, what? That's my maiden name. Why is that there? I guess you decided to show me a sign. Because someone who is very popular at the wall inviting people for the Sabbath, that was his name. It was right under her feet. And she's like, okay, I get it. That was her sign. She still has it to this day. She's saving that flyer. But a lot of people have that experience. When they get in a crisis or they get in a place in their life, they need guidance. That's when they'll pray. And, it isn't always through seeing. There are a lot of people that are clairaudient as well as clairvoyants, seers. They're people who hear things. And, you can say what you want about people with voices in their head, but there are people who have spirit guides. There are people who feel, they looked up, they heard like a name called, or they heard something and they followed that, and then they bumped into someone, and then that was the person who was their soulmate, and they went through the rest of their lives with that person. So it can be through the sense of hearing. It could be a piece of music. I'll never forget, I was traveling to my dad's funeral, and I was on the way to the airport, and I heard that great Cat Stevens song, "Oh Baby, It's a Wild World." And it was all about, watching over. And I came back, and I was with my brother, and it's on an Israeli station. 2 of us hardly saw each other, and I turned on a device in order to listen to a tape that my father was playing piano. And that song from On the Way to the Funeral just popped onto an Israeli radio station. And I thought, that's no accident. So sometimes it's through music. or something you hear. There are all kinds of messages if you're willing to listen. And I do believe God is always speaking to us or feeling us, since we're made of the God spark and the God particles and all the energy that there is. How could we not feel it or sense it? But think about all the distractions in your life that you use. For some, it could be an addiction. It could be doing this. I'm addicted to doing and fixing. I have a friend who's always fixing, It could be food. Your food is more important. It could be relationship. You're in a drama. Your relationship is such a drama and you're just working it out all the time and there's always something else. And so you just don't have the time to give to meditation or to close your eyes for a moment, take a deep breath and be, and let the answers come in. I was part of a group in California, and their meditation was an emotion release type meditation where they really let out all the emotions and they would calm. They would ask a question, and in that calm state, they would get answers. I would get an answer. And there's all different kinds of meditation to do. But basically, there are people even that want to support you and give you messages. And if you're open, they'll walk right up to you on the street and give it to you. I know wherever I am, I'm giving people messages. So I know that there are other people like me giving messages. And you have to listen to your inner messages. You have to listen to yourself. You have to take the time to listen to yourself. I would say that the biggest message of the 10 Commandments was God was saying, know that I'm here. I exist. I'm here for you in your life. You're not alone. And, kibud avim, give honor to your father and mother. God as your father and mother to your parents. Even if you had a tough time with your parents, even more so. Because it's harder. That's why it had to be a commitment, because sometimes it's hard. You don't always get along with your parents. And the Sabbath, what's it for? It's for your soul to regroup. You even get an extra soul. It's called Neshama Yisera. It's for you to take a time out, put yourself in time out, and regroup and connect to your family and connect to Hashem by looking into the piece that is the portion of the week and by looking in to yourself. So you're rested and you're satiated by the meal and it's all good. And you're taking the time to be. And, don't worship false idols. I love Tory Burch and I love Michael Kors bags and I love my shoes and my purses and my designer things. I love the vanities of life. But, you can't take it with you. People who know me know I've moved around a lot. I've managed to go to Israel, across the ocean, and let go of a big home, and then come back from Israel 7 years later and let go of all my things in my big home, take 14 suitcases for 7 people, and then go back over, which is what I did this past summer. And you can't take it with you. You can only take so much. Well, on the journey that's going to be your soul's journey, you don't even take your body. You let go of that baggage. You don't take any of your adornments. When we left Egypt, yeah, did we take some valuables from the Egyptians? But what could we carry, really? So here we are, and we're gathered in a holy place that our prophet has just brought us information. And what do we do with it? Do we live our lives by that? That's why I was mad. I got cut off. I don't know how much you heard about the taxi story, but and the gym and whatever conversation, to the point where he jumped out of the car. And he was a mensch, and he saw that it's about uplifting another person. So if you're stuck and you feel like you can't hear the message, you need to change the channel. You need to put yourself around other people that are supportive and that do have good guidance. You need to maybe take yourself out of the doingness, close your eyes, take a deep breath, be, and see what is your true prayer for that time, and really listen for an answer. I promise you, you'll get one. Sometimes the answer is no, but it's still an answer. And you want to be a receiver for the light. So if you have so much going on and you never take the time to just be and really connect and be a receiver, then you'll feel that stuckness. You'll feel like, where's the newness? Where's the light going to come from? We all get in that as artists, as creators, as healers, as mothers, as daughters, as, you know, women who are very responsible for a lot of things that go on, and the world revolves around us a lot. We need to take the time out to say, you know, help me. I'm open to receive. I know you're here with me, God. Just show me the way. Show me a sign. I want to hear it. I want to see it. I want to live it. I want to experience it. You know, whether it's the experience of communing with nature and its beautiful scents, whether it's touching another person's life physically or emotionally or spiritually, whether it's believing is seeing, where you really believe and then see it, as opposed to seeing is believing. You know, that all our senses were like outside of us. We were completely inundated with the experience of the God spark, the God light. And we like left our bodies, and we were just out of our bodies in communion with God. And you can have these little aha moments by taking the time to engage in a little Torah study or a little spiritual prayer, where you're communing with the energy of all there is. And you go outside yourself. This would be the time when I look up and say, are there any questions? But since this is a test run and only a few people actually saw the invite, and of those few people, some of them couldn't make it on, which they communicated, and those who said they would, obviously had a distraction from it, from their commitment. I can't really ask, are there any questions? So I'm going to close my eyes and take a moment in my own broadcast and be, and see if there's a message that wants to come in and leave you on a really beautiful, channeled, prayerful note. So I guess the message of the day is all there is really is God, Ein Od Milvado. And what they really understood on Sinai was they were all having that experience because that's who they were. There's nobody out there. Literally tonight on my podcast, there's nobody out there. So it really has me be with, the reflection of myself. It's pretty trippy. You're just talking to yourself onto a screen, but the message God wants me to tell you is there's nothing happening out there. The whole idea of that, you've got traumas and blame and issues that you could blame on someone. There's nobody out there. It's your experience. It's your creation. You're just God's expression. So you're expressing God all the time. And what I wish for everybody, I guess, to end on a note of prayer is that you're not afraid of your own light. I'm obviously saying this to myself too, and that you're not afraid of your own magnificence. A lot of times people say, they're afraid to fail, but that's not really true. They're afraid to succeed. When people ask me why I'm not doing a bigger project or being more out there in the world, I say, oh, in many lifetimes I was, taken out. I was, killed for being a prophetess or a visionary or someone who had a message of truth. And the people in my time didn't like it. So that wasn't too good for me. I didn't feel good. So in this life, I'll just stay small. I'll just hide my light. But actually, in this one, which I intend for me to be my last Gilgul, my last incarnation, I'm saying, shine it out there. Don't be afraid of your light. Don't be afraid of your own magnificence. Don't be afraid to succeed in whatever the big dream is, and let the messages guide you, and let God in, because you only got here because of God, and you're only leaving because of God, and you're only born into God and die into God and go into God and come home into God. That's all that's going on. It's Hashem. That's all. That's really it. So I guess I'm going to sign off now. This has been interesting at 2 a.m. to have this experience. And from my heart and from the heart of the Holy Land and the city of air and mysticism, I'm wishing you a week filled with holy messages and guidance, moments to take breaks and listen to your inner self, moments to listen to your higher self and your soul and get messages from God. And peace out, love, light, hugs from Rebitz and Miriam. All good things.